Thank you very much. Now I'll leave the.
You're welcome.
I'll leave it to Anca Hansen, who is from the DTU, Danish Technical University. And Anca, please, I'm sure you will go to introduce as well what how the things will be running today. Please go on.
Thank you. I just have to share my screen. Okay, I can do it now. One moment. Okay. Yes. Welcome to this workshop, which has been organized by the TU Wind Energy together with Nordic Folkecenter. I'm Anca Hansen, Associate Professor at the TU Wind Energy, and I have the pleasure today to start this distributed wind stakeholders workshop. It will also be me who will make the final remarks at the end of the workshop. Before we start, I would like to stress that this workshop today is a kind of kick-off seminar, being the first one out of 3 annual distributed wind stakeholders workshops over the next 3 years. These workshops are some of the milestones in our recently funded AUDP project regarding IEA Task 41, which I will describe a bit later. Which are the overall goals of these workshops we intend to have over the next 3 years? So the very first goal is to build up and strengthen the stakeholder network of relevant Danish players within the area of distributed wind technology, and to organize and strengthen the Danish influence and participation in IEA collaborations. The goal is also to present and promote results of particular Danish interest and to exchange the achieved knowledge and expertise from IEA international work to relevant players, and especially to those who are not directly involved in the IEA work. So through such forums, we target to disseminate information that can be used by both Danish industry, researchers, and society at large. Our goal is, during these workshops, is to have a good and expanded discussions of relevance of the Danish players and stakeholders, and thus to have influence on the research and development in the field of distributed wind on national level. It's also important to us that through these workshops to receive inputs and feedbacks from both Danish wind energy industry and research community, and as results to create new project ideas and to have possible project collaborations. And not at least, of course, to ensure closer collaboration between public and private actors, industry, research community, in national and international players. The goals for the workshop today, as it is a kick-off workshop, so we want first to identify the needs and the challenges of the distributed wind stakeholders. These needs they have on relevant topics as DV standards, DV integration, and distributed wind open data sharing. The TU Wind Energy and Nordic Folkecenter represent Denmark in IEA Wind Task 41, as Tony has mentioned. And therefore, our role today is to find out what are the needs of the Danish distributed wind stakeholders and to discuss possibilities how to improve their business model. As I said previously, the TU Wind Energy has recently funded the AUDP project on IEA Wind Task 41, And therefore, we also like to use the opportunity of this workshop to identify distributed wind players and stakeholders willing to collaborate in ongoing AUDP project by being, for example, involved in dialogues for some of the project deliverables. So we have organized the workshop today in a format with parallel breakout sessions, so we can hopefully gather a lot of informations, inputs, feedbacks from you all on how research community and in particular that EU wind energy can support the industry community, and having thus the possibility to define new collaboration projects between industry and research community. Before starting the workshop discussion, of course, I would like to use the opportunity to shortly highlight the EU wind energy expertise within distributed wind area. So that the EU Wind has extensive knowledge and expertise in wind turbine standards, integration of wind power, modeling weather-dependent generations and assessing their impact on power and energy systems, on wind power variability and predictability, and resource assessment modeling. And this expertise has been achieved over the years through a large set of research projects addressing distributed wind. As you can see here, we have both national projects, PSO and AUDP, as well as international and European projects. In addition to this research project, that the EU Wind has also invested in many internal multidisciplinary projects and tools like Global Wind Power Data Station, Strider Platform, and Fair Data Catalog. That the EU Wind Energy is also active participant in several IEA tasks, wind tasks such as Task 19 about cold climate, 25 about integration of large amount of wind power, 28 social acceptance, 36 forecasting, and now recently in the task 41. And within this task 41, we also target actually to contribute to expand engagement across all these tasks. So based on our knowledge within distributed wind, we have today defined few questions to discuss with you during the workshop. Questions we believe that cover relevant topics. So here is the program of the workshop. I will have a short presentation on the IEA task itself and a few words about our AUDP project related to this. And then we will have 3 short presentations highlighting 3 relevant topics within distributed wind area. So standards, integration, open data sharing. And after that, we'll have a break, and then we'll have the 3 breakout sessions. So we really hope that we'll have a good discussion, interaction to identify the needs and the challenges you have. At the end, we'll of course have a short wrap up in plenum of the breakout discussions, and of course some final remarks from my side. So thank you. This was the welcome presentation I have. And yeah, then I will switch to the next presentation, if it's okay. So this presentation will give you an overview of the main topics within the IEA Wind Task 41, as well as on our recently funded AUDP project. So a few words about IEA Task. So the operating agent is National Renewable Energy Laboratory, together with Pacific Northwest National Laboratory from US. And IEA Task 41 has been approved for a 4-year period, 2019 to 2023. And there is actually no annual fee covering the expenses of the operating agent, due to the fact that this is done by the US Department of Energy. The table here presents an overview of the member countries. As you can see, we are about 10 countries. There are also countries which have expressed interest in participation, but they are not member of the IEA Wind member of the IEA Wind, so as Poland. But of course, additionally, participants are welcome to join. You can find a lot of details on the website. And it is important to stress that the distributed wind technology considered within this task covers wind turbines deployed in a distributed application connected to a distribution voltage nominally 70 kilovolts or below, located behind the meter, in front of the meter, or in an off-grid application. So this is the area addressed by this task. The motivation of IEA Task 41 is based on the fact that distributed energy technology, which produces energy closer to the load, has become a growing portion of the energy supply, and therefore the distributed wind market is having an expansive potential. However, in spite of all this, the cost of the distributed wind systems have not yet decreased in the similar way as the equipment installation and operation costs for large utility scale and offshore wind technologies, as well as also for solar PV. These differences poses a challenge for the distributed wind market sector. And assuming now that many of the advances that have lowered the cost for utility scale turbines should be generally also valid when applied to distributed technologies, leads us to a set of questions like, for example, which of the technological innovations are most appropriate for distributed technologies? Or why has the distributed wind industry not applied this innovations, or which additional research activities may be needed to understand the applicability of these innovations. So about the collaboration, the overall goal of IEA Task 41 is to coordinate international research on distributed wind technology development or assessment, to allow distributed wind to integrate into future markets and processes or procedures to support the cost-effective development of DV technologies. And this new research collaboration will work to accelerate the development and deployment of DV technology through efforts that will lower, hopefully, their deployed cost while increasing user confidence. So the collaboration will include efforts to improve small and distributed turbine standards, address integration challenges, facilitating easier and faster distributed wind integration into electrical grids, share cost reduction experiences, and allow for expanded sharing of research innovation, and all in all, of course, increase the competitiveness of wind and accelerate the replacement of fossil fuels. The IEA Task 41 outcome will lead to the expanded global use of wind energy with focus on distributed wind applications. There are 5 areas of technical collaboration that have been identified to expand the international collaboration in IEA Task 41. And these 5 areas actually corresponds to 5 specific work packages. The first area is research to support an update of existing wind standards, expanding consumer confidence while allowing needed technology innovation. And this corresponds to work package 1, which will address existing concerns around the cost, complexity, and effectiveness of existing distributed wind technical standards, as well as develop technical justification for modifications to these existing standards. The second technical area in focus is technical data sharing in both process and practice, providing researchers and the wider industry access to global information. Here we have work package 2, which will seek to better understand and implement data collaboration opportunities. The third area is on expanded research and collaboration around the integration of distributed wind technologies, focusing on new and advancing markets such as off-grids, microgrids, and advanced distribution networks. The focus in work package 3 is thus on expanding learning around the integration of DV into evolving electricity systems. The fourth research area is outreach and expand collaboration on ongoing research and development activities that could address specific challenges associated with DV technologies. And here we have work package 4, which will expand the understanding of the role of distributed wind that can play in supporting markets while expanding the understanding of how innovation in these markets can be applied to DVs. And the last area is distributed wind innovation and downscaling of utility scale technology. And we have work package 5, which here will provide an understanding on how cost savings in large wind can be downscaled to small and mid-sized wind technologies. So until now I had few words about IEA Wind 41, and now I will say a few words about our new funded AUDP project. I want to stress that this funding actually is quite essential for us, that the EU Wind Energy, for being part of IEA Task 41. And AUDP supports our work in IEA Task 41 to create common publications in peer-reviewed journals based on the results and experiences we have from other past or ongoing research projects. It is also helping us to strengthen the collaboration between us, the Danish stakeholders, and international partners. Furthermore, the EU Wind participation in international collaborations also helps to promote Danish acquisition of knowledge about the newest trends and methodologies. Through this funding, it is also possible for us to attract the best international players to project consortia with Danish partners, providing thus results that are anchored in Denmark and create added value for Danish players. So this AUDP project will run over 3 years. It has just started in January 2020. We also have a website where you can visit, and you will see their reports and publication, which will be updated whenever they are available. We have two main overall objectives for these projects. The first one is to identify and explore studies of particular Danish interest of distributed wind for cost-effective technology development and integration into a continuously evolving Danish electrical system. And then the second is to strengthen the Danish players and stakeholders, contributing to further increase of the penetration of wind power into the electricity while still maintaining the high level of security and supply. And this will be done by DTU Wind Energy by collaborating and contributing to this IEA Task 41 international activities through communication, of course, exchanging information, sharing results, and carrying out concrete analysis and investigations in shape of reports and publications. And the AUDP project is also organized in 5 work packages, following closely the IEA 41 work packages. As an overall target, so the project aims at building up a stakeholder network of relevant Danish players within the area of distributed wind technology, and organize and strengthen the Danish influence and participation in IEA collaboration, both bringing the long experience of Danish actors into play and to learn from others around the world. By supporting the work of the IEA Task 41 through various publications, data set collections and reports, the project will also target to achieve and consolidate the Danish knowledge and experience within this area. The AUDP project will also promote and disseminate the results of IEA Task 41 activities to the Danish stakeholders and provide useful recommendations and guidelines to IEA deliverables that can be used by both Danish industry, researchers, and society at large. The project will form the basis for eventually new Danish standards aligned to international efforts, set of specification of distributed wind data sharing catalog, and support the integration of DVs into Danish electrical system. And finally, the project will collaborate, as I mentioned before, with the ongoing IEA Wind Task activities that address specific challenges associated with the DV technologies. As I mentioned, the other tasks already exist. And I also want to stress here the fact that we have a lot of deliverables for this AUDP project, where we really need inputs from the stakeholders. As you can see, we have one on recommendation for potential standards changes that will be used to drive additional national and international research. Another deliverable where you can provide input is competitive on recommendation for potential conformity assessment requirements, as also Peggy was mentioning, or report on adopted metadata and taxonomies specific for distributed wind and metadata catalog, guidelines for best practices for compiling DV distributed objects catalogs, and of course we'll also have a report describing specific distributed wind aspects, gaps relevant for the Danish players and stakeholders. So as you can see, this project is highly relying on the collaboration between public and private actors, and therefore an effective transfer cannot be performed without the mutual involvement in the project. Through this workshop today, we would therefore like to have contact with the distributed wind players and stakeholders which are open to be involved in dialogues with us for such types of deliverables I have mentioned. So it is what I had. So thank you. This is from my side.
Thank you, Anca. We have a question from Sven Engelbosen.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Anca, for a great presentation. And I'm really happy to see that DTU is highly involved in distributed wind. I have had the pleasure of being around in some of the sessions in Argentina and in Austria and so on. But the thing is, if you look at the Danish manufacturers, who would be the most prominent stakeholders that you're looking for, they simply don't have any money to go to these meetings. They are running with a deficit annually, and that's one thing. The other thing is, if you look at the academic level of the people there, they're not exactly keen on sitting there with big formulas and procedures and stacks of paper. They want to work more with the hand and then with the head. So is there some way where you can establish a budget? Because there are a few of us who has the academic level and who has the interest and the heart in it, but we don't have the budget for it. So is there some way you guys can establish a budget for it?
We are also challenged by these budget things, and one option could also be when we extend or we ask again for AUDP money. So we have several of you guys involved in the project. Right now we are alone in the project, and yes, I'm sad to hear that that there were many of you having the same problems similar with us, because at the moment when we wrote the proposal, you know how the proposals are written actually quite in hurry all the time, and we didn't have any contact to person to take them with us. But this is also the idea of such a workshop, especially for us, to get a network, and by using this network we can help us together to get more money for this interesting area. But yes, I completely know the problem with money. We all of us having, but it's good if we start having a network, strong network, so we know better each other, so we can do better actions for the next time. Right now I don't know if we can involve you in our project. We can ask AUDP and see if we can get money for that, but honestly I really don't know.
Because one of the things is if you hire us as suppliers and not as partners, it can go on the EUDP budget. But if we are partners, we have to contribute ourselves as well. which makes it difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we have to investigate more about that. I honestly, I don't know really how we should proceed. But as I said, I will really be very happy to use the day-to-day to have good discussions and build up this network so we know better each other. So we can take it from there to see how we can get more money.
May I have a little comment, if that's okay?
Yes.
My name is Witold. I'm the next presenter. I'm a senior researcher at UTU and I work together with Anca. So I just had a little comment because Sven brought up a good point. So the thing about UDP funding is that we in fact need to bring in industrial partners, right? But the industrial partners, they always need to have their own budget. And then it is no secret that we as DTU, we need to be 90% funded by the UDP, whereas the overall project may be, say, maybe 60% funded by UDP, which means that you as an industrial partner would need to bring maybe 30–40% of your own budget to the project. And I don't think there's actually a way around that, other than, of course, we can hire a company as a subcontractor in the project. But then this is for specific tasks rather than a like long-term collaboration in the project, I think. So it is a good point that it is rather difficult to bring in an industrial partner if they have no budget themselves. It is a bit of an issue, and I think it's good to address it here. Thanks.
There's a question from Peggy, please.
Thank you. I would, well, we could go in for the discussion further and another time, I think. I would like to know, how do you think we could put distributed wind or into the Danish electrical system? Because I'm working now on a proposal for a small island, and that would be nice to take that into account. This island has more energy production than they can consume themselves. So we should try to increase the electrification and use the distributed system to operate it. When I didn't see the date, the timeline. I would like to see it again.
Yeah, I know. We also like to. I mean, I know actually that in Denmark the distributed wind is not very powerful. I mean, we do not have really big problems as in other parts. Yeah, Kaushik, please.
Yeah, to comment on Peggy, we have a presentation later on the integration of distributed wind. So maybe some of the ideas can come up from there. Okay. And to Sven, I think Anca, like she brought up this is a very nice forum we have to find out the ideas and maybe the stakeholders, and also to understand what each of our goals should be there and role as well. Then we can easily identify if the role is big enough to have a partner in the project, or is it just some measurement campaign or something which is required. Then we can also go for a like third-party consultancy kind of thing. So, but it's a very nice thing you brought up, and we should definitely follow up and find out how to improve the distributed wind or medium wind business in Denmark.
I am most certainly open for discussions about that.
Oh, Hello. Oscar has politely asked to come in.
No, sorry, it was a mistake. But thank you for giving me.
It's all right.
Then just one thing, we have talked about networking. As I mentioned to some of you at the beginning of the session, we have created a LinkedIn group where we would like to gather all the people working within small wind or interested in small wind. And I just put the link in the chat. We think that that could be a way to put in contact different people. Then, of course, things have to build up from there.
Good idea.
Daniel, just a small comment. Can we extend the horizon? Maybe we can take it also later from small wind to distributed wind to be more inclusive. The scope of the LinkedIn group.
Yes.
Yeah, we will update the title.